Hi guys, so recently I did a video in which I told you the cost to change of moving out of a non-ULEZ compliant car into a ULEZ compliant used car. And based on data from something like AutoTrader, we saw that the price differential between Golf Diesel, a TDI, between the 2015 and 2016, so hence non-compliant and compliant, could be as much as £3,600. Factor in the cost or the amount of money that you would lose on your car, and you could be looking at a cost of change of £4,000 plus. So the question is, where can you go in the UK where you could possibly find cheaper cars? Because the thinking would be that, well, the ULEZ compliant cars in the southeast are probably the most expensive. Well, there's some data that recently came out that might be able to shed some light on that. Stay tuned and I'll tell you right after this.
A brown car guy.
So I was looking at a press release recently from CarGurus, and they were looking at the cheapest place in the UK to buy a used car, and it made for some fascinating reading. Of course, as we know, used prices are record high at the moment, and they have been since the pandemic. And of course, now with the ULEZ thing, that's actually made things worse. Just as prices were starting to stabilize because supply was starting to normalize, prices of ULEZ compliant cars in the southeast have just suddenly rocketed again, because obviously as we're racing towards that August 29 deadline when the ULEZ expansion will take place to the whole of Outer London, ULEZ being the ultra low emission zone, people are looking to change cars, and all of a sudden those cars that would be compliant have rocketed in price. So you may be thinking, well, where can I go that it might be cheaper? So fortunately, CarGurus has made a map. And this is the map. I'll put it on screen. Have a look at that. And what this map tells you, what they looked at is cars between 1 and 5 years old. So these are relatively newer cars that they looked at. This is the data we've got, but some of this might apply to older stuff as well. So when they looked at prices for 1 to 5 year old cars, they found that the average price of these cars was £23,516. And they found that Hull was actually the best place to bag yourself a bargain when it came to used cars between 1 and 5 years old, according to their research. The price on average there, again, remember, the UK average is £23,516. The average price there was £18,480. That's over £5,000 less than the national average. That's a saving of 27.3%. Now, Liverpool was the second lowest, offering a 16.1%. So actually there's more than 10% difference between Hull and Liverpool, but still 16.1% savings, with an average price saved of 3,262. So that's 3,262 less than that average UK national average of, as I said, £23,500 about. Glasgow was in third place. The saving there was 11.3%. Prices lower by about £2,390. Where was the most expensive place? Well, it will come to no surprise to anybody out there that in fact it was, of course, London. London was the most expensive city, with prices £9,695 more expensive than that national average of £23,500. That represents 6.2% above the national average. And that puts the average price of a 1 to 5 year old car in the London area at £33,000, 210. So £33,210. That's staggering. When you look at the cheapest price in Hull, or the cheapest national average, or the cheapest average in Hull for 1 to 5 years old, compared to the cheapest average in the most expensive average in the UK in London, then you find that the price difference is a staggering £14,730. So nearly 15 grand difference between the average price of a 1 to 5 year old car in London compared to average price of a 1 to 5 year old car in Hull. That is truly quite staggering. But when you looked at real world prices, the difference was less obvious, I think, or less vast. Let's put it that way. Less monumental, if you like. Let's look at actual examples, what they did. Now, you might wonder, why is it different compared to the average and average there, and why are real world prices different? Well, real world prices, for example, I'll give you those first. So CarGurus looked at the Volkswagen Golf. Again, Golf, is a perfect car to look at, right? And in London, for that age range, the 1 to 5 year old age range, they found that the average average price was £22,500. In Hull, it was £18,639. There's a difference of 17.2% actually, to be exact with, for you. And in fact, if you think about it, we're looking at about 4 grand difference there. Just math off the top of my head. I didn't write that down. But yeah, about 4 grand difference there. 17.2%. But the lowest difference they found, which was very low indeed, was actually the Ford Focus. £17,468 average price for 1 to 5-year-old Ford Focus in London, compared to £17,596 in Hull. And in fact, the price in Hull, as you may have noticed, is actually slightly more expensive there. Now, how is this working out? So I was alluding to this earlier. And basically, if you think about the spec of cars and the quality of cars, now you can imagine that in London, there would be much higher spec and more higher end cars available, and that would obviously skew the price upwards. So when you look at a like for like example, you won't find that much difference. But when you look at the overall cars available and their average prices, then obviously they're going to be much higher, hence that huge price differential between the average prices. Now, on the other hand, what you've got to keep in mind, keeping in mind that Focus price, is that it doesn't necessarily mean that if you go to Hull and buy anything, it'll be cheaper. So what I would recommend is that this map, and again, I'll put it on the screen for you, this map is a great guide to use, but do your research. If you are planning to change your car, and change your car now before August, of course, my advice is, has been, and continues to be, wait, don't change your car yet. It's too expensive. The prices are all over the place. Let the market settle down. We'll probably see that in about a year. And if you're thinking, but I'm going to have to pay the £12.50 ULEZ charge, well, think about it this way. If you're going to use 5 days a week, if you use your car to go into London, you pay £12.50, then actually works out to £3,250, which could be less than your overall cost to change. So you really need to do the sums on this one. And again, going back to the whole idea of where you can find the cheapest car, don't just immediately go to Hull, Liverpool or Glasgow. Do your research, go online, check the prices carefully, because different models obviously are seeing different price differentials across the country. Hope that was helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you all in the next video.
Brown car guy.
Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please hit the like button and share this video as well if you can. And while you're at it, check out these guys who also sponsor my content. I am deeply grateful to them because it helps me to buy new equipment, put fuel in the cars, and yes, buy a cup of coffee. You can do the same. Just go here or right here on YouTube. Just hit these 3 little dots down here and click on thanks. Make sure you're signed in first. My content is free, but this is how you can help me keep it that way. I may even send you a gift. Oh, by the way, watch this next.